Today I'm playing with the Apollo Pump-1, a pump that you can use to automate watering your plants, filling your coffee reservoir, filling that mop that has the water container in it, your dog bowl, anything like that. So let's just get right into it. All right, so this is the box I got from Apollo. Let's just take a look at what's inside. Little thank you note, got a support email address and a wiki page for your documentation. And just kind of opens up this. Now you can order the different components of this. This is the water bottle that you'll fill up, put your water stuff into. This is a little base for it. Sits in here. And I think there's a little sensor that's going to go into this right here. We'll figure that out in a little bit. And then here is a couple of water sensors. These are the water level sensors. This is just a little device that plugs in, and then this, I guess, is ultrasonic. That probably it says you tape this to whatever device you're going to measure water with, and I'm going to try it on my coffee pot or my Keurig maker thingy. And I've got a second one that came with this as well. I think you can order these separately, or you order all these parts separately. And then here is the hose. Again, every one of these has a QR code on it that talks about scanning it to get information. Here is the actual device itself. This is a Pump-1. Whoops. I can get it to focus. There it is. There's the Pump-1 in the box. And let's see what's actually in this little box. That's it for the box. And it's always in these little static sensitive devices. And this is the device itself with a couple of connectors for the pump itself. Come on, you can focus. It's got a power port, USB-C power port right there. And then a couple places for your actual connectors for the water level sensors. And of course it's a 3D printed case, so you can just pop it open like that. And the board just sits inside there. Probably just comes out like everything else in here. Yep. And then there's the little motor for it. Wow, having a real good time focusing today. There's the motor that's on the pump. And then here is the control board. Of course, it has the ESP32 on it. Wow, that's fun for the focus. And all the rest of it that's part of that board. So that's it. That's what you get is the pump, and the pump says it can go quite a distance. You can look on their website and it tells you the distance. I'll tell you here in a second. All right, now that we've seen what's in the box, let's go ahead and put this thing together. I'm going to use it with my coffee maker thing. So my coffee maker has a little reservoir on it. And for demo purposes, I'm just going to add water to the reservoir. So let's get it put together first, and then we'll dig into that. So here's a pile of stuff that I showed you a minute ago. There's two sensors on here, and by the way, it does come with the things I showed. It has two water sensors, or water level sensors, some some tubing, so the hoses. So you can see it comes with the hoses here. Two of these water level sensors. It comes with the base, the reservoir, obviously, and then the actual pump with the ESP32 on it. So that's what comes with it. So let's go ahead and put it all together. In here, you can see that there is a, if I can get it on the camera, there's a little recessed section here, and that's where this water sensor goes. It's a little bit finicky, not finicky, but you gotta get it in there. you've got to face it down and get it just lined up just right. So you can just kind of press it in there. And then along the bottom of this, they have all these little, I don't know what you call them, but they're in there. And you just kind of route this, this stuff around, or this wire around. You just kind of shove it in there. And then make sure you get it out the hole first. And then you can just put it back in there. And once you get it seated in there, you just take your reservoir here and you just set it in there. And now you'll see that it has a that transducer that's sitting right here. That's what's going to measure the water level. And it looks like, I don't know where the actual sensor is in there, but it's going to be roughly equal to the top of this. So if you look at it, the water, when it gets below the level of this right here, it's likely going to say it's empty. So there's that. And then it just plugs in. This is keyed, so you can see that it's keyed right there on the end. So it just plugs in here. And there it is for that sensor. You just kind of set this stuff to the side here. And then your tubing is going to be you get actually two things of tubing here. And it's food grade, so you should be able to just use it out of the box. One of these is going to be your water source. So you stick it in there. And that goes into the pump here. And actually, you just put it on the pump first. So you just put it on the pump. Just a tube, so nothing fancy about this. Make sure it's seated pretty well. So I've got it seated on the pump here. And then your output is going to be on the top. Same thing, just shove it on there. So it's on there now. So I have the output and the input and a bunch of tubes everywhere. So you'll take this and put it in your input. And then you'll take and put this on the output. And I'll just let that sit however it wants to sit. And now I have my coffee reservoir here with some water in it. And you just take the output and you stick it in there. So water is going to come out of this, go through the pump. And from there, we'll go back into the reservoir here. But you also do need one more thing here. You need this other water level sensor. And this other water level sensor is going to be plugged in just like you did before. Right, I heard a snap. And now, what's going to be hard to show you, let me get rid of this thing for a minute, is wherever you want your water level to be on this sensor, or on this device here, on your, wherever you're putting the water into, you're going to want a water level sensor, and you're going to want to tape it on here, and actually this way. So you want to have the this part facing towards the water, and it'll go through a little bit of plastic or whatever, so it'll shoot through this just fine. And I'm going to use some temporary tape on mine to do that. You can't put glue or something on this side of it because this is where the sensor is. You'll have to stick it from the back side. So let me go grab some. I'm going to use painter's tape on mine. And I've got a roll. I always keep a roll of painter's tape around because it's handy for everything. And I'm just going to stick this little tape on the back side here, and I'm just going to stick it, let's say about right here. Obviously you want to do this a little bit more permanently, but I'm going to do this way for the demo. Right here you'll see that I have it just kind of loosely taped to the side of this. And now we're going to go over to Home Assistant and get this actually installed into Home Assistant because I haven't done that yet. And we'll see what kind of stuff we can do with it. All right, I've shown you the unboxing and I've shown you putting it together in a temporary way just for the video demonstration. You can use this with the plant sensor. You can use this to fill up fish tanks and water, any other water things you want to fill up. But let's get into the details. Something I didn't show you real quick is, first of all, right now this is $32.99 as of today's video, US dollars. You obviously calculate shipping separately, but this is the description. It's a versatile, compact, food-safe fluid pump. So food safe, which is why I'm using it with my coffee maker. It also integrates seamlessly with the PLT-1. If you have a PLT-1, I showed you the PLT-1 in a previous video. It's their plant moisture sensor. It has 2 ports for fluid sensors. Detects water presence, so it will stop whenever the watering is complete or your water bottle runs empty. That's what I just showed you, the little sensor inside of the little bracket or the little stand it sits in there. And it protects the system from running dry. It says it's perfect for smart home gardeners. You can water those plants as much as you want. You can also fill fish tanks, robot vacuum mop tanks, pet bowls, coffee pots, whatever else you can think of. Again, it's food safe, easy to integrate, and yada yada. Now this thing does power off of any 1 amp 5 volt source. So if you have a standard or old phone charger, it only requires an amp. So that should be good enough for you on that. So here it is. It's got an ESP32C6 Mini. That's what it's based off of. It's Wi-Fi connected. It has a mini DC fluid pump, a 5 volt USB-C power source or power requirement. You need to provide your power source unless you buy one. It flows up to 900 milliliters per minute. And they did a test where they went 14 feet up and 33 feet. That's as high and as far as they tested. It would go farther, but that's as far as they went. And then it has food safe material, and it is 2 ultrasonic fluid level sensors. And you can go into their website. They show you up here some demo videos. This is how they tested it. He's sitting up here on the tree, and they're actually pumping water from way down here. It's tied to a battery pack and whatever. So that's how they tested it. Let's go ahead and get this into Home Assistant. Now, we have already talked about, this is just like any other thing where you add it to Home Assistant. I've done a number of videos where it's an ESP device. It creates its own hotspot when you plug it in. So you find the hotspot on your phone or whatever, and then you connect to it. It'll ask you to set your Wi-Fi, SSID, and credentials. You set that and you're good to go. And once you do all that, it should show up in Home Assistant as an integration. So if we go over here to the integrations page in Home Assistant, it does actually show up here as a Pump-1. So you can add that to Home Assistant, just like you do any other ESP device. It's going to ask you where it's going to be, and you finish, and it should show up here as a device. And it does. So right now it says it's wet, which means there's water in that container. The fluid input is the top most sensor in there that I plug in, and it's dry, which it should be because there's nothing in the reservoir container. There's some stuff here that is default pump run 10 seconds or pump run seconds. It's defaulted to 10 seconds. There's an RGB light like there is on everything that Apollo creates, so you can turn that on and off. You can actually tell it to run the pump by pressing this button. So you have a manual pump run option, and then obviously some diagnostics and other things. And in this configuration section, you can reboot the ESP. You can do an update for the firmware. There's a max safe runtime, 60 seconds. So we'll get into that in just one second. I'm going to show you where you can find all the information on these different sensors. Stop pump when input dry is not on. Stop pump when output wet is not on either. So if you look at this, all of those things I talk about, or I show over here, pump run time, all of these other things are defined on this page here. So amount of time in seconds to run the pump defaults to 10 seconds. There is a run pump button we talked about, and then run pump until output wet setting, which is one disabled entity. So that's not even enabled. And I think they say that here, disabled by default. because you're probably going to want to set something in automation somewhere else, maybe down here. So if we look at the rest of these, there's a fluid input that we know it is ultrasonic sensor, and then fluid output is another ultrasonic sensor. And then these are the things in that bottom section here, the configuration section. It talks about the ESP reboot. Obviously, that's just rebooting the ESP device. Firmware updates, obviously, we know what that is. Maximum safe runtime is the maximum amount of time the pump will run before shutting off. It defaults 100, even though it says it is 60 seconds here. So maybe the default is now 60. Apollo documentation maybe need to be updated on that one. Pump control, we just talked about that. Stop pump when input dry. This will turn the pump off when the ultrasonic sensor at the bottom of the water bottle detects no water. That's a safety feature. I think it should be on by default. So we want to do that. And then stop pump when output wet. This turns the pump off when the ultrasonic sensor mounted on a Keurig tank, fish, or whatever detects the water level sensor as written above its monitoring point. So what I did there was wrong on when I stuck it on the side of the container for my coffee maker. It should be up near the level where it should shut off, not down where I have it. So I'll change that here in a minute. Okay, so that's all of the settings you can do with this device. Right here on the ESP page. So let's get it set up to actually do something. All right, so I did make a change to the sensor. You'll see it's up top. I got rid of the tape also, and I'm using something a little more nicer, but I've got it up top here. So what's going to happen is water is going to fill up to this point, and when the sensor detects water here, it's going to stop the pump from running. So I'll pull from here and go to here. I do want to mention something that happened when I was playing around with this. If you look at the page we were just on, and you look at these two right here, stop pump when input dry. If this is turned on, it actually does not allow the pump to run, even though fluid input is wet. So if I push the press button, and let me just make this 5 seconds just to make sure that I don't have an issue. If I push this button right here, it won't allow it to run because there's a YAML issue here. So let me do that. Yeah, so it doesn't work. Apollo is aware of this. I talked to them just a moment ago about this, and they have an update coming. So it is fixed in one of the updates. It may even be fixed before you see this video. But for now, in order for this to work, I need this to actually be turned off. And what you'll do is you'll rely on, let's make this 60 seconds, because I'm going to show you an automation. You'll rely on it being wet. When the output is wet, the pump will stop. So let's go ahead and create an automation. Actually, I already created an automation. Let me show you the automation. So we'll go to automations. And we will find the one I set up here, which is the pump. Actually, it's turned off, so it'll be up here. All right, so this is my automation that I've created. So what it does is when the studio output pump fluid is wet to dry, when it goes from wet to dry, what it'll do is it'll actually do this action here is to press this pump button. It simulates pressing the pump button. And when it presses the pump button, it will start that 60-second timer, and it will stop if it reaches the water level before that 60 seconds is up. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to close this. It's currently disabled because I didn't want it to run while I was playing around with it. Let's look at a picture here. This is our setup. Again, we've got the source water tank here, and here's the sensor. Water should get up to this point before it will shut off. If it reaches it before 60 seconds, it'll shut off at 60 seconds. So let me enable the automation. Now it won't fire because if you look at this, it basically says it has to go from wet to dry. So I've got to actually trip it before it'll do it. So let's do that. Let me trip it, and I'll do that by just simulating water up here. So now it thinks there's water. If I remove my finger from this, it will now start going because it's been triggered. So actually, let me show you. You'll see the trigger on the Home Assistant page up here. See, it's triggered. and now it's running. So you can see that it's starting to fill up water. If it reaches 60 seconds, it'll stop the pump, but if it doesn't, it should stop the pump when it gets to the water level sensor here. And we're doing this in real time, so we'll just let it watch it run. It may reach 60 seconds first, we'll see. I'm gonna put that tube down in there farther. That should trip off here any second now. All right, so it sees water at this sensor. You can see the water level barely underneath here. And because it sees water at that level, it actually shut the pump off. Anyway, that's the whole thing. That's the pump. You can decide what you want to do with it. I mean, it was a very simple demo. It took a while to get to the demo part, but there you go. You can create automations and do whatever you want with it. You can use it with the PLT1 sensor, like I mentioned, to water your plants. In that case, a 5-second or 10-second watering is probably sufficient for that to run. Again, watch out for the updates for this device. If you happen to purchase one and there's a firmware or an update for it, make sure you do the update to fix any issues like I found with that YAML that basically has the on-off or sensor backwards. They're going to address that in the update. And again, it may be done by the time you see this. I do want to mention that Apollo Automation sent me this pump to take a look at. They didn't pay me for it. They didn't tell me what to say. I basically said what I wanted to, as I've done with all their products they've sent me. But just wanted to make you aware that this did come in from them, and I did not pay for this particular product, but my opinions will remain the same whether I pay for it or not. Having said all that, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, hit me up in Discord or in the comments on YouTube. And also, Apollo Automation is very responsive to their questions in their Discord server, so you can ask them questions there. All right, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.